The 2019-2020 football season provided us with some memorable moments, some dramatic moments, but the one thing that it has failed to provide was a dramatic, an emphatic title race. Well, for example, let's have a look in the Premier League. Liverpool ran away with the title. The same story was up in Scotland, and the same story has been going on in Scotland for the last decade or so. Over in Spain, there was a little bit of drama as Real Madrid took over Barcelona when the season resumed, but after that there was not really drama. After Real Madrid really took the lead, they really ran away with things over in Spain. When it comes to France, well, PSG did win the title after the season was cancelled. However, they already had a massive points advantage. Over in Italy, if you look at their title race, I mean, Juventus, it's hard to say they ran over the line. It's hard to say they even walked over the line. They face-palmed across the line. There was an absolutely atrocious finish to the season for Juventus. Nevertheless, they won the title, and it really, there wasn't too much drama despite the poor end to the season. There still wasn't that much drama towards the end of that campaign. Over in Germany, well, Germany's Germany. You don't have to explain what's happened in Germany. The same things has happened in Germany for, I think, similar to Scotland, almost a decade now, where Bayern Munich have claimed yet another title, and once again, very comfortably. However, this sort of scenario didn't happen in one country, in South Africa. There, the title race just concluded just last weekend, and I thought it'd be nice just to look back at what actually happened over there in South Africa in what turned out to be a really dramatic and enthralling contest for the title. In the end, the ABSA Premiership winners were the Mamelodi Sundowns. They won the title by a very slight margin of 2 points, and they secured the title on the final day, which in those leagues that I previously mentioned was not the case necessarily. The team in second were the Kaizer Chiefs, and I'd like to start by telling you about this title race, by beginning to tell you about the Kaizer Chiefs, because in round 8 of the season, the Kaizer Chiefs became league leaders. They jumped into first spot, and for the next 21 rounds of the South African Premiership, they were top. They remained league leaders. In spite of some differing results, they managed to remain first from the 8th round to the 29th round of fixtures in the PSL and the Premier Soccer League. It was then in the 30th round, the final round of proceedings, where the Mamelodi Sundowns took their place as the league leaders and claimed the title. So how can this be? How can the Kaizer Chiefs lead for 21 consecutive rounds and then lose the title in the final one? Well, I think looking at the results, and I must be honest, I haven't watched the South African Premiership throughout the whole campaign. I was really caught on by this in the final few weeks of the season when I was seeing the Sundowns closing the gap to the Chiefs, closing with week after week after week. And then I suddenly realised, well, we're coming up to the final round here, and if the Sundowns win their game and Chiefs fail to win theirs, then Sundowns will complete a remarkable turnaround and a remarkable championship win, and that was what in the end had happened. But where did it go wrong for Chiefs? Well, it really started going wrong for them when the season resumed, because when the season did officially get back up and running, the Chiefs had 8 games remaining, and they only ended up winning 2 of those 8 games. In fact, they only managed to pick up 9 available points. They managed to pick up 9 points from an available total of 24. There was 24 points up for grabs, and the Chiefs only managed to take 9. Now, that's certainly not the form of a team that is gunning for the Premiership. And Ernst Middendorp, the manager of the German manager of this Chiefs side, said so in his post-match interview after the final round of games. He was clearly disappointed. That post resumption form of the Chiefs was incredibly bad. 9 points from 24th is something you'd expect from a team that's fighting for survival rather than one that is fighting for the Premiership. Nevertheless, when you look at the Sundowns form when they came to play after the season resumed, they had 9 games left, one more than the Chiefs. They only won 4 of their 9 games, which isn't, that much better than the Chiefs. How have they, a tally of 15 points from an available 27th, in the end proved to be the difference maker. What was interesting though is that the Sundowns really turned up the heat in the final 5 rounds of the season. In fact, Sundowns won 4 of their last 9 games, but in fact the 4 wins came in the last 5 remaining games. So they won 4 from the last 5 games of the season to really clinch the title. Interestingly though, it was that first win of those 4 that I've duly noted here. It came against Golden Arrows, and it was really when I started to really start paying attention to the South African title race, because that 1-0 over Golden Arrows came in the final minute of the game. It was the last kick of the game. Golden Arrows thought they managed to claim a good point against the Sundowns, but out of nowhere came that goal in the last second of play to give Sundowns the win, which I'm sure they'll look back at that performance, that game, as the one that had won them this title. But I'd like to take a look at the final round of fixtures, because it's not only the championship that was decided, but something else as well. Sundowns were playing against the Black Leopards in the final round of fixtures. The Black Leopards were 14th before the game kicked off. There are 16 teams in South Africa. The 16 team, whoever's placed 16th goes down automatically. 15th goes into a relegation playoff. The 14th team is safe. The Black Leopards were 14th. They were safe as things stood before the final round. Meanwhile, the Kaizer Chiefs were playing against Baroka. Now, Baroka were 15th, so they were in that playoff game, a relegation playoff game, as things stood. As things began to play out, we knew that Sundowns beat the Black Leopards by 3-0, and Baroka miraculously managed a 1-1 draw with the Chiefs. So in the end, not only did the Chiefs throw away the title, not only did the Sundowns pick up the pieces and take the Premiership crown from them, but it also meant that the Black Leopards dropped down from 14th to 15th, and Baroka pushed themselves up back into 14th position, meaning they're safe, and the Black Leopards now are contesting, as we speak to be honest, in a relegation playoff. So that was an incredibly dramatic ending to the season there in South Africa. When we talk about the Sundowns, they're real legends of the South African football of the last few years. This is their 10th PSL title, the 13th South African crown overall. They've really been on a roll over this last few years. A shout out to Pitso Mosimane, the manager of the Sundowns. He was actually the South African assistant manager when South Africa hosted the World Cup in 2010. Then he became the manager for the next 2 years after that, before joining the Sundowns. And since then, this is his 5th title with the Sundowns, 3rd title in a row. That's 7 straight seasons now that they've spent in the top 2. They've either won the title or came second. So that is a sensational record from Mr. Mosimane, and all congratulations to him on that achievement. But all eyes now will be on the African version of the Champions League, the CAF Champions League. They won it, of course, the Sundowns back in 2016, but can they produce the goods again in 2020, 2021? Well, we'll have to wait and see for that, but undoubtedly one of the best races for the title in 2019-2020 will not go down to some of the big leagues in Europe. It will go down, I'm sure, to South Africa and the ABSA Premiership. What a fantastic title race it was, and here's to many more to come in the future.